Okay, so hi, hello, welcome back to another Creepypasta Storytime video. Creepypasta we're gonna be reading in this video was one originally I was gonna try to record a week ago, but I had internet problems, all this stuff, so I couldn't really record it. But now I'm back trying to record this one more time, so let's hopefully everything goes pretty well. And yeah, so Creepypasta we'll be reading. It's called The Well. My grandfather grew up on a chicken farm outside of Krakow, Poland. He passed away a few years ago at the age of 82, and a few days before his passing on due to an aggressive form of stomach cancer, he sat me down next to him in his old rocking chair and said in his familiar Polish accent, "After I took the boat to New York, I promised to leave the story behind." He didn't look up at me as he spoke, simply staring into his cup of black coffee. "It's been 70 years, and I must tell someone before I meet God. I was born in a small, quaint, empty town which, despite the Nazi occupation, still functioned. We lived in a two-bedroom farmhouse. My father, mother, my brothers, Michael, and Igor. I'm sorry you never got to meet any of them. Anyway, Mikhail and Igor were twins." I'm sorry, I read it as Michael, my bad. I'll go back in the story. Mikhail and Igor were twins. Identical twins, actually. And we had heard rumors of a Nazi fascination with identical twins. This forced us to be even more reserved, even though we already lived in a secluded part of the countryside, in the last occupied house in town. In order to avoid going into occupied towns, we basically ate only chickens and eggs for every meal, and whatever else Mama could gather from the garden. It was lonely, but we survived. The thing that was most difficult for me was the fact that I had to sleep in the basement. Due to Mikhail and Igor being toddlers, they required my father and mother's attention. The basement was cold, with only a small window, and the moonlight was the only light I got. Because of this, I always delayed going down there until I was absolutely exhausted, so I wouldn't have to lie there awake. On the nights that I couldn't manage to sleep, I would look out the window, which gave me a small view of the garden at a large abandoned water well. This was my daily activity throughout those lonely war-torn nights. In general, it was boring and uneventful. But occasionally, I would catch a glimpse of a family, or even just a man or two lovers sneaking their way through our garden up to our front door. They always looked rushed and frightened, and sometimes wore tattered uniforms. What would follow were horrible sounds of banging and pleading for whoever lived there to open up, followed by an argument between my father and mother on whether we should let them in. He moved in a chair to adjust himself. "You see, son, we didn't know it. Well, at least I didn't. That we lived fairly close to an Auschwitz concentration camp, and that those people were escapees." "Well, did your father let them in?" I asked impatiently. "No," he said. "It would have been a death sentence for them as well as for us. The Nazis didn't like Poles, but they tolerated us, and it was easier to hide Mikhail and Igor than the entire family. My father did what he had to do in order to keep his family alive as the war went on. Fewer and fewer people began showing up in the middle of the night. That's about the time our chicken and vegetables began to disappear. Losing our only supply of food would not have been tolerable, and at that point, my father suspected it was the escapees. So he built a fence around our property, and despite this, the chickens continued to disappear. They weren't killed, they were just simply gone, just vanished from their cages and pens. One night, I decided to stay up myself in order to see if I could find out the answer. I battled my tiredness until the wee hours of the morning. And despite the poor lighting and rain, I caught a glimpse of what seemed to be a human figure run across the garden. I rushed upstairs to tell my father, and he ran outside with a knife. The best home defense weapon we could afford, but we found nothing. No one. The next day we found something, though. footprints leading from the chicken cages to the water well. They were made in the wet mud from the rain, and they were of bare feet. No shoes, no socks, just feet. My father had mercy on the man who was trying to find refuge and left him a note, indicating that he had 2 days to leave and then he would begin to seal the well. I waited impatiently for my grandfather to tell me about the fate of the man. The following night, I got the idea to take a blanket down to the well. The following night, I got the idea to take a blanket down the well to the man, since winter was creeping in. I waited till my parents were asleep and I snuck outside. I shouted something friendly down the well, indicating to the poor man that my intentions were benign, and I began my descent, clinging hand and foot to the pegs attached to the stones. I was near the bottom when I smelled something absolutely horrific, and I pulled my father's flashlight from my pocket to try and shine it on the man. It was when then I came to a realization of just how large the well was, having been used to supply water for the entire town and its families in the past, families which no longer remained. But I found no man, only a hole, a gap in the stone, where the wall of the well had collapsed, opening up to some type of crevice only 2 meters wide and 3 meters deep and tall. Inside sat not a man, but an entire family, of which only a single skeleton-like creature survived. The light reflected off his sunken eyes and gray skin. Blood covered his face, and chicken carcasses were strewn everywhere. A pile of decomposing poultry beside a woman and what I suspected had to be her son and her daughter. Children who couldn't have been much more than 5 years old, and they seemed to be dead for weeks. The man, if he could even be called that, just gazed at the light and I stared back, incapable of breaking his stare. I did not feel threatened by him, for he lacked any aggression whatsoever. He simply crouched, motionlessly, without a sound next to the putrefying bodies of his loved ones, and the chickens that must have been a source of water as the meat was uneaten. He was empty, devoid of whatever in us makes us human. He should have realized the members of his family had died long ago, but he was still bringing food for their corpses. He couldn't accept it. He did finally turn his head, though, and when I shone the light back onto the corpse of his daughter, he stared at her, and then sat down closer to her and continued his vigil. "You can leave now," I said to him. "I'll open the gate so you can escape. My father will seal the well in the morning. Please leave now." My young voice and advice seemed to have no effect on him. At that moment, I decided it would be better for me just to climb back up the well and leave, and hope the man would follow and escape. As I began my climb, I shone the light on him one final time. "What did you see, Grandpa?" I shuddered. I saw a tear fall from his eye. He had become a man once again. He was only able to break free from the delusion after seeing the body of his daughter, which had until that time been obscured by the darkness. He realized that he had been bringing food not to his family but to corpses. That night, it rained again. But in the morning, when my father returned to seal the well, I found the footprints leading out of it. Okay, so that was it for the creepypasta today. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that sad tale. I'm finding kind of more of a theme now with certain creepypastas that they all may or may not have a sad undertone to them. I like Jeff the Killer though. Jeff the Killer was a wild ride of, emotions and stuff like that. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed this video. I don't want to keep you guys here any longer. Like usual, leave a like and subscribe. Helps out the channel. And yeah, if you want to see any more type of videos like this, please leave a link down below. Also, if you see any ads on this video, I'm sorry. YouTube apparently has the right to put ads on my videos, so, you know, sorry about that. I don't get paid by the ads, you know, kind of messed up what they've been doing, using my content, not giving me any cut of it, but, you know, yeah, outside that, I have nothing else to say. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.